Hey, my name is Dev. I've been a serious guitarist for over 3.5 decades. I want to help you improve in your guitar playing, but also in your songwriting. This video is going to be all about modal interchange, specifically for songwriting. Some basics, give you some options, ways to step outside of the given key when you're writing songs, and give you some interesting places you can go for harmony and melody. If you are already familiar with the modes, you should be able to just drop straight in here. If you're not, this is video 9 of the Autumn of Modes that I'm doing. The first video goes through how I think each mode creates mood, and then I do a deep dive into each of the modes. So check those out. If you're unfamiliar with the modes, come back to this when you're ready for this. But we're going to start out in one of the most commonly used modes, A minor. So it'll be all these chords. More like that one. And then back to the A minor. So we're going to just keep playing a real basic chord progression here. And this is a real common one that is 6, 4, 1, and 5. It's so common. Think about how many, Linkin Park choruses you can sing to this particular chord progression. So we're going to stay in A minor, and this is going to be our chorus, what we're playing right now. And we'll come up with a really simple verse with the same chords. That's a little corny. Let's try it a little straight. Yeah, something like that. So clearly we're still staying in A minor here, and we can always switch back to the other chord progression that we had earlier if we want to, and stay diatonic or in the key. This will, of course, work. All these chords are in the key, and each key has a relative minor, which is the 6, and the relative major, which is the 1. So here we're playing with A as our 6, so we're playing in A minor. And the first modal interchange that we're going to do, which is just changing one mode for another, is we're going to use Ionian instead of Aeolian when we get to the chorus here. So we're switching just for that one chord. We'll switch to Aeolian. This allows us to get a little more variety, a little lift when we go back to the chorus. Let's try that one more time with just staying in diatonic, so we'll stay with A minor, and then we'll go back to the major and see the difference between the two. So this one's Aeolian. Substituting the Ionian for the Aeolian when you're in that minor key can give you some really fun, and it's actually not that striking of a difference. You're not stepping so far outside of the diatonic that it can be distracting to the listener. But it allows you to also keep that pedal tone. In this case, it was A, and I can keep that moving as the root note as I move between each of the parts. If I'm going to substitute Ionian for Aeolian there, a lot of words there, but I think that made sense, and you can probably add that to your playing pretty quickly. So let's take a look at substituting the Dorian for the Aeolian. And what I mean by that is, if we were in the key of C minor, we would often play usually C Aeolian. But C minor and also C minor 7 will work on top of C Dorian. It gives it a much softer sound. That dominant 6th gives it less of a minor tone. It's a little bit less somber, a little bit less sad than the straight Aeolian. And what it'll also give us is this F7 chord. So this switch, which is a very common sound and feel in a lot of rock. It's got a very groovy, like kind of hanging out in the sun. I'll play it like that. Nice beat song. Then we can see that's clearly built upon the C minor 7. If we were playing that in straight Aeolian, it would sound like this. And that major F gives it a much softer tone. And that's one of my favorite qualities of Dorian in general, is that it is softer than the relative minor, and it's a little bit sharper or more edgy, I guess, than the relative major. So what we can do is say, these are the chords that are in my C Dorian. There's more, but these are the ones that I'm going to play outside of the set of chords that are in C Dorian. And when I want to build a little bit of tension, I'll move back to C Aeolian. I'll do some combination of those chords. And so the C minor is the common chord between the two, but I'm just going to move from Dorian, which is going to be a little bit more bouncy, a little bit more groovy, over to the Aeolian to create a little bit more tension and have it become a little bit more dark. Let's see how that sounds. 2, 3, 4. So yeah, you can substitute the Dorian for the Aeolian and move back and forth between the two. So you're not actually changing keys, but you're changing moods while staying with the same root note. What that also means is that since I'm going to C Aeolian and back and forth to C Dorian, if I'm in my C Dorian, if I can go to C Aeolian, its relative major would be E flat major. So I can also move from C Dorian to E flat major. We'll take a listen to that too. So yeah, substituting Dorian for Aeolian is a really great way to add a third option. So you've got your relative minor, your relative major, and then you've got your softer relative minor by moving over to Dorian instead of Aeolian when you move over to minor. So next will be in D minor. You play the simple chord progression of 6, 2, 5, 1. We'll play those with sevenths. Diatonically, D minor 7, G minor 7, C7, and F major 7. And we're going to replace that G minor 7 with a dominant 7th. And the Dorian will be replaced with the Mixolydian. Now, since the notes in G Mixolydian also contain all the notes for C7, we can linger on that mode even once we leave that G chord while we're on the C7 chord. does get a nice lift with the major chords after it. It seems a little bit more whimsical, I guess, with that dominant 7 in there. So yeah, replacing the Dorian with Mixolydian can really add a nice bit of flavor. So in some circles, it's very popular to move back and forth between the Aeolian and the Phrygian. So here I'm in Phrygian. Let's switch to Aeolian. Phrygian. So yeah, the transition between Aeolian and Phrygian is one that's welcome and almost always works in certain settings. This next one is probably farthest from diatonic. We're going to be in C sharp minor here / E major. And we're going to do 6-2-4-1. So C sharp minor, F sharp minor, A major, and E major. As sevenths, C sharp minor 7, F sharp minor 7, A major 7, and E major 7. Maybe do a little more interesting fingerings on some of those. Now, the substitution that we're going to do here is this A major 7. Right now it's Lydian, that's the diatonic. We're going to change that to Dorian on top of minor 7. Back to the progression. I really love the sound of that minor 4 resolving to the 1. It always sounds great to my ears. So this is working, and I think it sounds really great, and there's a lot of color here, and that's the main interchange I wanted to discuss here. But we can also think a little bit more molecularly, and let's use one of the other alterations that we had talked about. So this F sharp minor 7 here, this second chord right here, that's the Dorian, and we know we can switch Dorian for Mixolydian, so let's try that. So yeah, you can switch the Dorian for the Lydian, and you get a really, really interesting magical sound, especially when it resolves to the 1. It can go anywhere, but I think that particular minor 4 to 1 resolution sounds amazing. And then you can also add, you can kind of mix and match these, and we're just kind of scratching the surface here. So when I started making this video, I had no idea how much I wanted to pack into this one video, and I think that's why I called it the starter kit, because there's so much more to do with it, and I'm sure I'll revisit this topic eventually. But I think this is a really great starter kit, and I'm really excited about getting this out there. And you know, sometimes we get trapped in inside the chords in a key, and we just want to stay there. And knowing that these interchanges work and these substitutions work always kind of gives me a green light to try something a little bit different, maybe here and there. There are no rules, and if there are, break them as long as it sounds good and it feels good, right? I do want to note that in the video I did in Phrygian, I mentioned that Spanish Phrygian or Phrygian dominant I think of as a third key. So you've got your relative major, relative minor, and then whatever the Spanish Phrygian is, or the Phrygian dominant in that key. It's not really modal interchange, but I really struggled with including it in this video. So give that a shot. It's actually pretty cool. There's a link in the description to sign up on my email list, which will give you immediate access to the Guitar Chord Survival Kit. Version 1.0 of that PDF is free to my email list members, and version 2.0 is actually coming pretty soon. I have not announced that yet until right now. I got one more video here on the audible modes. It's going to be on Modal Interchange for league playing. That'll be coming next week. I post a big video like this every Tuesday and a short video every Fretboard Friday. Make sure you like and subscribe so don't miss out on anything. I'll see you soon. I hope you learned something and had some fun. Cheers.